Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the award-winning MagicMics, proudly sponsored by our Patreon supporters and CoolStuffInc.com, where you can find cool stuff in stock every day, and our co-sponsor CardHoarder.com, offering the best inventory, prices, and delivery of cards for Magic Online, and our newest sponsor Cartamagics.com, presenting Cubamagics. These durable, scratch-resistant plastic cases are perfect for cubes, sideboards, and more, with new designs every single Monday. I'm Evan Irwin, and we get started each week by saying hello to my two co-hosts, Aaron Campbell.
Hello, everybody.
Ruben Bressler.
Hi, what's up? How you doing?
The award winning.
Yeah, that's not.
I'm clamped. I'm over clamped.
I know. I feel good about that.
I've
been smiling nonstop since this afternoon. It has easily been the highlight of my day and possibly my week, so I can't wait to talk about it a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll get to that. But it's been a heck of a week. Of course, we had started with our trumpet blast. We don't have one this week, but if you support us at our highest level on Patreon, we'll pretty much throw out, crazy birthday wishes, or if you want to make fun of us, that's fun. That's cool too. It's fine. I don't care. We also get started with a giveaway. If you're in the chat right now on Twitch, do ! raffle to get involved. You get 2 entries if you're a subscriber, because we just like you that much. But the first pick this week is the Mythic Invitational, the largest Magic event that has ever happened this past weekend. And Andrea Mengucci is the big winner. Somebody had them on their fantasy squad.
Yeah. Evan crushed the fantasy draft. 57 points, a full 36 of which came from Andrea, which by itself matched my total. Not too shabby there, sir.
It was a lot of fun. But congratulations, obviously, to Andrea, already in the top 10 all-time earners, thanks to the $250,000 he got to take home.
And can we talk about the fact that he wants to spend his money on vintage cards, where they were like, you won all this money, what are you going to do? And he's like, I think I want beta power. And it was like, yes!
So Magic player, you're at max Magic player, Andrea, you're killing me, man!
Andrea winning was a coup, really, for Magic, because he's such a good champion. He's a wholesome dude. He's already got a brand. He's very charismatic. He's international, so you appeal to the European crowd, and he's such a lifer as it comes to Magic. He's talking about buying more Magic cards with what he won. One of my favorite stories that came out of this was Gabe Nassif tweeted that he heard the story from Andrea, that Andrea saw that they added the HP Omen laptop or a desktop to the prize pool, and so decided to not buy one in case he won, which is spectacular and perfect.
He's cheap by his own accord. He wrote a tournament report for CFE today, and he wrote some very lovely things on there, but he even describes himself that way. He's like, even with all this money, like, I'm still the guy who, has the McDonald's app just in case there's some savings there or a coupon there. And it's like, that's good to see.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a constant theme that the people who, use coupons the most are like the richest people. Like the rich people are the cheapest.
Well, you know what they say, that a lot of people want to spend $1 million. Not a lot of people want to have $1 million.
Yeah.
Well, more importantly, no one wants to pay the taxes on $1 million. Am I right? So we've been talking about our tax woes in the pre-show.
Yeah, if you want to hear some of that riveting tax information, you too can subscribe for $5 a month.
Really good advertisement for the pre-show.
Really award-winning content. What are the tax laws in Wisconsin?
I think
so one thing that didn't change, Evan, that I wanted to ask you about is they didn't change the trophy.
The trophy is a little infinity gauntlet, and that's okay. It's not a hill I'll die on. What I would say is I expected something totally different, and I think they gave us something totally different. And I really have to commend Wizards. No joke. Obviously, I'm one of your harshest critics at times, so I want to be 100%. I thought you guys did a great job. It's funny, my favorite joke of the weekend was they got rid of a BDM, and the only way that they could replace him was to hire a Brian, a David, and a Marshall. And I was like, that is so perfect, I can't handle it.
Really good.
That's really good.
That's amazing, actually. And then of course BDM got to join as well, which was delightful.
Yes.
I thought coverage was really excellent all weekend long, especially the brand new folks. I was really impressed by Alias or Alias
V, I think it was. Is that right?
Alias V was.
Yeah, she was amazing.
The standout for the weekend for me. I think that they need to lock her down for future events post haste. John Plott and Brian Kibler adding a ton of that star power and charisma that you just can't replace. they're one of a kind each. I thought that Marshall and Dave were serviceable and very good. And Becca Scott, another standout performance, someone who I'm familiar with from the role-playing game community here in Los Angeles, and very knowledgeable and on it. And being a sideline reporter, let me tell you what, I've done it for a while, or had done it for a while. It's not the easiest job in the world to be on your feet, to be able to ask insightful questions that you know are actually going to get interesting answers from maybe people who aren't super exciting people. A lot of the folks this weekend a lot of them are streamers and personalities and people who've had that kind of coaching, but not everybody. And still able to get that excitement and those kind of answers is a pretty sweet thing.
I mean, we got pyrotechnics in a Magic tournament.
Pyrotechnics. It was neat seeing, the personalities of people, and there was a lot of discussion about that. You had these streamers that knew to play to the camera. They knew how to make an entrance. They made you want to watch them. You had people like Amazonian who had that amazing clip about, I knew that I needed to go big or go home. I went big and he went home. That's a moment.
The trash talk was dope.
Sky Bills, that match, even though Sky Bills didn't make top 16, that game where she played against Shahar, everybody was talking about. You could not take your eyes off of these streamers who, and they played it so differently, facial expressions and gestures. And even Aaron Forsyth was like, this is what I want to see. I want to see people, entertaining me. I want to see emotion. I want to see excitement. And I hope that this is a turning point, that maybe it inspires some of these guys who maybe are a little more introverted to ramp it up a little bit, because that was very well received.
I got to do some commentary for Sky Bills at TwitchCon last year. She was one of the players that I did a match between her and Thunder Mo, and had a great time. She's just a delight. And all of the folks who are coming from other gaming communities love the Magic community. And that there's no mistake why. I mean, our community, for all of its flaws and all of its foibles, is still amongst the best, most mature, most nurturing communities in all of gaming. Yeah. And I just loved putting that on display, and how people latched onto it, not just the players, but also the audience.
Yeah, the whole sort of experience I thought was very, very good. I don't like Duo Standard because
format was terrible.
Because I've played Magic for most of my life at this point, and that's not the Magic that I necessarily enjoy watching on a very high level. Yep. This was Sam from Rhystic Studies essentially nailing it with, they promised us baseball and they gave us a home run derby. And there's nothing wrong with home run derbies, and there were certainly some home runs. I just felt like what you had was weird changes and things because people knew that they only got best of one, or they were like, how am I supposed to beat the Espermere? So they bring the Espermere breaker stuff. And then so it's like everyone basically brought mono red and everyone brought Esper. And yes, there was differences there, but by and large it was, here's my aggro, here's my control, let's see who can control more. However, there were certain plays when Matt Nass somehow out of nowhere,
from the jaws of defeat. Yeah.
From the jaws. Oh my God. Knowing that he had to hold on to his island to draw the Masterminds acquisition, to play the island, and then the Unmoored Ego to get the Teferis out. Whoo! I mean, my kids came in here. I was like, Dad, you okay? I was like, I just can't. What happened in my life right now? I just thought we were just watching this thing grind out to infinity. No. Matt Nass did a clinic, and it was unbelievable. So there were still amazing moments. Don't get me wrong. But and then so beyond that, I can just complain as old man Magic. But the whole event was really sweet.
Yeah.
Hashtag 5 very scared kids.
Dad, what's wrong? I'm like, there's the Magic player, just a potato, and I just started freaking out.
Again, we've had a lot of conversations on this show over our years about how Magic is kind of tough to televise, about how Magic is kind of difficult to make exciting. Arena doesn't have that issue. Arena makes everything watchable, makes everything exciting, makes everything interesting. It's not just the animatics, it's also the clarity, it's also the speed with which that can be watched. If this showed me anything, it's that Pro Tours should 100% be on Arena. I don't care how I mean, every standard Pro Tour moving forward should just be on Arena. Just give them the accounts to play it. I don't know what else you're going to do. You just have to do it.
I predicted this. First of all, I said, look, it's just going to be mono arena because it's going to look so good. It's going to be so fast. And for what it's worth, to its credit, Duo standard is fast. Like we get into game 2 and 3 like that, and that's really cool. So there were a lot of benefits to just like, okay, we're not going to have to slow the game down, explain what happened, explain how they're going to sideboard, why this card is important, what they're taking out. It's just like, no, we're just going to go. So in that aspect, I do appreciate it. That said, the last day of the event was preceded, as we move here into Gather the Townsfolk, by a panel. The panel at PAX for War of the Spark. It didn't start very well, and as I understand it, it was not the fault of the production crew. It was something to do on the Twitch side, which kind of makes it that that's more sharp of a dagger, because they didn't do anything wrong. And I'm sure they were just wildly checking every, meter they had, because to them it sounded great, because the entire intro to Jimmy Wong and all the people there, and the entire trailer, the whole thing was silent until about 4 or 5 minutes in.
Which is ironic, because so much of what made that trailer pop and resonate with so many people was that cover of the Linkin Park song. And so to have one of the most important pieces not be there really took something away from it. And can I tell you, that trailer hit me in the feels. I cried in a McDonald's, okay? Like every Sunday, so I have this thing that I do where every Sunday I go to the McDonald's by my apartment and I get a biscuit and I pay my bills and I do my adulting and I balance my checkbook. I work on the show notes. And so I'm sitting at this McDonald's in my PJs and I'm watching the panel, and then the trailer starts. And Liliana resonates with me so much. And so I'm just sitting in this McDonald's and I'm like, and the tears just came out, and people are looking at me like, is she okay? And I'm like, like, so it moved me so much that normally, you try not to, sometimes you try to hold it in, you're in public. Don't cry in public. Don't cry. I can't be seen crying in a bar. I can't be seen crying here. And like, normally I would be like, I don't want to cry in a McDonald's, but I couldn't help it. I was just so overwhelmed, and I can't wait to see what they do with that character. And I'm so excited.
I thought that it was a spectacularly done, well edited, everything about it was so good. I think that the market has spoken, and that everyone seems to think that it was spectacular. It is the most hyped Magic video of all time.
Oh, with millions of views, like that's just blown out the water of any other trailer as far as
they conveyed so much.
At least a dozen of those views combined.
They conveyed so much in such a short amount of time. Like, you literally see Liliana go through this journey in the course of like a minute or two. You see her going from, being enthralled, being under Bolas's control, seeing a girl try to defend her brother and failing, them both being crushed under the rubble, triggering her of, letting down Josu, and Josu, triggering that in her, kind of reminding her of her agency. She remembers the oath. You see it all in her eyes. That animation was so good, where it's just like you see this character who's shown such growth, a character who maybe doesn't believe that she's capable of doing good, and probably doesn't do good in like the conventional sense. But when she has that breakthrough of like, hey, I can help someone, where it's like, it just shows in her face, and it's like,
and much like everyone forgets about Paul Cheon doing coverage, #Paul, good job, Paul, that coverage. Everyone forgets about Dak Faden from the trailer.
I didn't even know that was him.
Right?
With the red hand.
With the red hand, the greatest thief in the multiverse, kicking it in the trailer, a B-list, like not a C-list.
Not quite C-list.
This is a B-list planeswalker. This is a dude who sees a lot of tournament play.
If they could have killed Tibalt, it would have been like,
Yeah, if they killed Tibalt, who cares?
All right, sure, whatever. You can have him.
Yeah. Even like Angrath, it's like, who cares, right?
Right. He's just mad. He wants to go home. Like,
Or like I think that more people care about Dak than like Kiora. Certainly more than Samit, right? Like, this is a Planeswalker who's got some clout and some history, and you kill them in the first 2 minutes of the Planeswalker, Planeswalker of the video.
Like, Watley's cool and all, I get it, but like, Dak Faden was kind of neat. So it was such a great hook as the red hand and the greatest thief in the multiverse. That was a really great hook.
And the passion and anger in the Nicol Bolas face was really well done as well. There's been a lot of discussion about how Nicol Bolas has been presented over the years and what the image looks like. And now and for always, That is what Nicol Bolas looks like to me.
Also, the ambiguity of the final shot. You know, a lot of people, when they first saw the trailer, they assumed that Lily was in trouble. They assumed that she was losing that struggle, that mental battle. And the more people watched it and the more people really listened, they're like, oh no, she's fighting. Like, this isn't necessarily her going down. She's giving them hell. And it was like, get him, girl, get him.
Super cool. So what we can essentially talk about at this point, with so many previews having gone out, and we're not talking about spoilers. There's a difference.
Right. Quick note. Please do not share unofficial spoilers.
Yeah.
That would be very nice of you to do. We only talk about previews here on the show, of which there are 94 officially.
Which is plenty. There's plenty to talk about. This is where we get to say, hey, there's uncommon, rare, and mythic rare planeswalkers. There's only 3 mythic rare planeswalkers, as I understand it. The uncommon ones only have 1 ability. They all have static abilities. The rares have 2 abilities, and the mythics have 3 abilities, which I thought was kind of cool. And they showed us some of those. They also gave us a bunch of previews and stuff in terms of what we want to talk about and where we want to start. I guess in many ways, we have Good Boy. We have Mowu. We have Mowu, the loyal companion. Mowu. And Zhang Yangu shows up in an official set, which is great. So, like, that in and of itself was pretty awesome. It's always
sounds
great.
Like a pet name you would call your partner. Like, Mowu, can you go get me a soda?
Well, he's a pet, so...
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, they also revealed that Proliferate is the main mechanic of the set, along with Amass, which Amass to me is odd. Now, Amass is Amass and a number. Amass X, Amass 1, put a +1/+1 counter on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 black zombie army creature token first. Now, this is different from what we, I think, have gotten used to in terms of token creation, because tokens usually have more than one. There's not just one token that you're making bigger and bigger and bigger. Where this is like sort of the shtick of Amass, is you're just making one thing larger and larger. So it's funny to me. It was like, well, Liliana, shouldn't she have just like one gigantic monster zombie thing, if that's sort of the way the mechanic works? Which is fine. But
well, it also doesn't seem to play well with the story. Like, it's my understanding that the idea of the Eternals is that they number, there's so many of them. You know, this isn't a case of them making these giant Voltron, giant Lazotep Colossus that's crashing through the city. It's their numbers. You know, you look at look at them marching through the gate. You look at all of the locusts and things like that. And so it does seem a little weird that they are, you know, using this mechanic that seems to imply that you only get one, and that one might get very big.
You got to start somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our friend Fibblethip. Fibblethip officially got a card. Like, not just in an unset, like in an actual factual in the world of Ravnica is Fibblethip the Lost. A blue and a generic mana for a 1/1 rare legendary homunculus. When it enters the battlefield, you draw a card, but if it entered the battlefield from your library or was cast from your library, draw 2 cards instead. When Fibblethip becomes the target of a spell, shuffle Fibblethip into its owner's library. Norn the Wary would be proud. So things like Collected Company, things like Court of Calling will get this creature onto the battlefield, drawing you cards. I was incorrect on Twitter about Tooth and Nail, because Tooth and Nail puts it in your hand first. Right. And thank you, the 742 people who told me that I was wrong about that, even though I tweeted I was wrong about that. Sure. It doesn't work that way. It's okay. It's fine.
Also, thank you to the 24 people who reminded you that wolf means different things to different people.
You know, a man uses a term.
You threw the bears a huge bone.
Aaron, please.
I didn't plan that, but when you said woof the other day, I died.
And then they're like,
honestly,
Evan.
I didn't know what it was either, because that's just not where my brain goes. But Mowu is a doggo, is a pupper, and hopefully you can say woof about that card and not get in too much trouble.
No, I can't. Apparently, I can't. I can't say that. I can't do it. I can't. It's fine. I'll just oof it. I won't woof it. I'll oof it. It's fine. You do what you got to do. I want to talk.
So, in standard, Fibblethip is the go-to 2-drop for Prime Speaker Vanifar, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to be a fun one. Speaking of fun one, Krinko, Boss of 10 Street, or 10 Street Boss, however it ends up being, is a red and 2 generic mana for a 1/2 legendary goblin. When Krinko, Boss of 10 Street attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, then create X 1/1 red goblin creature tokens where X is equal to Krinko, which is equal to Krinko's power. So if you put that, it's awesome, because if you put that ability in the stack and we giant growth, and you have 5 goblins all of a sudden.
I mean, even if you don't giant growth, like you just attack once, like you're fine.
Yeah.
Like this is an army in a can in a just every combat step. I'm really excited to play with Krenko.
Yeah. The fact that Goblin War Chief is in the format for a little while longer could be really fun.
Let him have it. Fine.
Now, the big marquee, the last card I'll point out before I ask you guys what you want to talk about, was the big marquee card to come out of the PAX panel was the new Liliana. And this Liliana is not messing around. This is also the card, this is the card style that you get if you pre-order the set, which is really cool. I like seeing stuff like that. It makes me appreciate the purchases that I'm getting that I would do on Arena anyway. Of course, where in the world are they? There we go. Liliana Dreadhorde General. Thank you. It's 2 black, 4 generic mana for a 6 loyalty planeswalker. Let's just start there. It's a legendary planeswalker Liliana, of course. Whenever a creature you control dies, draw a card. First ability +1, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. -4, each player sacrifices 2 creatures. -9, each opponent chooses a permanent they control of each permanent type and sacrifices the rest. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have never had the privilege of playing with Barter and Blood, that card is real. That card is insane. They don't put that thing in standard anymore because of how crazy good and efficient it is, whether it's wiping their 2 creatures or now you're totally okay. If that -3, it's -3, right? It said
-4.
-4. If that -4 said, sacrifice 2 creatures and draw 2 cards, I'd be like, okay, we're starting somewhere because Barter and Blood plus draw 2 cards is insane. That's an amazing ability. Don't discount Liliana. She is going to be a powerhouse in standard.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
it seems like a really good top end to any sort of curve that wants to be using the battlefield. Unfortunately, Esper mirrors are in a place right now where this is not probably what you want, but most of the time, this is exactly what you want. This is a Elspeth Sun's Champion style card.
Right.
Where it sort of has a wrath, it can make an army, and it has a very usable ultimate. This, in addition, also has a card advantage engine built right in. So if you use stuff like, I don't know, if you're doing the disinformation campaign deck that has Barrier of Bones in your deck, then Liliana Dreadhorde General is right where you want to be.
I just want to clarify something. A lot of people in the chat are asking about our preview card. Ours is coming out the 17th, so you guys have a couple weeks left to wait, but ours is sweet. You're going to want to be here for that. It should be a good time.
So the way they're doing the previews for this set is different than they've done in the past. A lot of the time, first of all, they would do it in 1 week or 2 weeks schedules.
Right.
This is a 3-week schedule. Additionally, they have decided to release the cards in story format. So at the very beginning, we saw the invasion of the army. We saw a lot of the amass cards, for example. We saw the Planner Bridge opening and the Horns of Bolas of Amonkhet opening and the Dread Army and Lazotep coming out. And then later today or yesterday, we saw the Nahiri versus Sorin grudge match. No shame in holding a grudge, I guess. But it's still early in the story, right? And so our card, which comes out in 2 weeks' time, is in Act 3. And let me tell you, it's a good time.
It's a good one.
Ours is the package. I mean, the card itself was fine, but then when I looked at the art and the flavor text, everything about it just made my jaw drop. So hopefully you all feel the same.
It's pretty ballin'. We hope you guys join us for that. And that's a good time to bring up these war story scenes as you see them. Act 1 scene.
Talk about our cards. I had cards I wanted to talk about.
Oh, absolutely. I just wanted to bring this up as a point of check out how they've actually put it on the website.
Right.
I wish they would have been I wish they would have given us just a little something, just a sentence or two maybe for each card, or maybe just a little paragraph.
I wish that they'd given us a breakdown of what is happening.
Right. I get it that you're trying to put it in left to right, and sometimes it actually works really, really well, but other times it's not necessarily as clear, and as a result, I think it really used just a teeny tiny bit of context. But that said, what cards are you guys excited about?
So the first card that really made me lose my mind was Dreadhorde Invasion. So Dreadhorde Invasion is 1 and a black. It's an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and amass 1. Whenever a zombie token you control with power 6 or greater attacks, it gains lifelink until end of turn. It's Zombie Blossom. Oh my God. This is everything I want to be doing in life. You know, there are enough cards where we are approaching, you know, another standard where a zombie deck could certainly happen. And if there is one, I hope to God that this is a part of it. So he got me at Zombie Army, and I was just, again, I'm at the McDonald's, I'm cavelling, I can't handle it. And so this was the first card that really, really got me excited. The second card that made me lose my mind a little bit later in the day, because I think most of us on Sunday were just in a state of like perpetual hype. Like there was just so much going on. The second card I was excited about was Bolas' Citadel.
Yeah.
3 and 3 black legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. You can tap it and sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. The vintage guys are losing their minds. You can tinker into this with your Moxen and your Dark Rituals. You could very well cast this. There are discussions about this being as good as Bargain in certain situations, Dogmoth's Bargain. And so if anybody's going to break this, I am completely here for it. I would play the crap out of this card. So very excited to see what some of the best minds in the game can do with Bolas' Citadel. And the last card I'm really excited about that Ruben kind of touched on is Single Combat. I love the Nahiri Sorin plotline. I'm obviously Team Nahiri, but I love that despite all of these things, you know, going on in the world, you know, a multiverse ending threat, these two, all they can focus on is each other. And I think that's so awesome. And we've certainly, I think we've all kind of been there before, you know, just having a single focus.
Well, what does it do?
Huh?
What does it do?
So it's 3 and 2 white. It's a sorcery. Each player chooses a creature or planeswalker they control and then sacrifices the rest. Players can't cast creature or planeswalker spells until the end of your next turn. But I'm really just kind of here for the flavor of it. It is like, you know, these two just being so distracted by each other where it's like, yeah. We've got business to finish. And even Soren's Thirst when Nahiri's like, so you're out of the wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shade.
If there's anything that's on brand, it's Aaron respecting the petty, right? that's pretty good.
Wow.
A couple of the cards that I'm most interested in, I'm going to start with the most recent and move backwards because we just talked about single combat. Let's talk for a minute about God Pharaoh's Statue, which is a 6-mana uncommon legendary artifact that is going to be in Tron decks near you ASAP.
This is like...
Go ahead.
Go.
Spells your opponent's control cost 2 more to cast. At the beginning of your end step, each opponent loses 1 life. If you thought Tron mirrors were miserable to begin with based on die roll, boy, let me tell you. This card has exactly 1 home. Like, I bet people are going to try it in shops and it's not going to work. But it's definitely going to see a home in Tron. And so I just wanted to start there. I really liked some of the named characters that I've seen on cards in the past. Storev Devkaren Lich is a card that got named, and Rolalesk is I believe a card that got named. Although I don't see it on this page. Maybe I accidentally.
That's a leak.
That's a leak. I apologize. But those are both characters that have existed in the past. I'm also super excited that Fabulthup has made a comeback. We have this beautiful new Totally Lost art of Fabulthup standing on the statue, which makes me super happy. We also got some planeswalkers on these uncommons that I'm very excited about, and the two that I wanted to talk about are on the same screen here. Davriel Rogue Shadow Mage and Teo the Shield Mage. Davriel is the Brandon Sanderson invention.
Yeah,
which is super cool. Got to have his own magic card essentially, and with Davriel's Shadow Fugue. And Teo the Shield Mage was the sort of unknown character in the key art, and now we know them. And also, this goes directly into my Arcades the Strategist deck, which I'm very happy about.
I think the new Teo is dynamite.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes walls, and the only other thing that did that was in Homelands or whatever.
Oh, that was a joke.
I got it.
Okay. Nice.
I just wasn't gonna let you have a response to it.
Wow. Well, if you look at Davriel specifically, I mean, this card I think is actually very strong. You have proliferate in the set, so you've got 3 turns of them discarding cards in order to proliferate at least once to then get 4 cards for just 3 mana, or essentially make them play every card they draw until Davriel goes away. So that in and of itself I thought was really terrific. And then of course it punishes them once you get them into that situation. So, like, this is something that's really interesting about War of the Spark. Well, first of all, everyone loves planeswalkers. Oops, all planeswalkers is amazing, and everyone is freaking out, and the set is selling absolutely terrifically. And there's something very specific for retailers, is that this set, more than any other set, particularly in recent memory, is awesome for uncommon value. Yes. These planeswalkers are not being sold like uncommons used to be for like $4 for a quarter or whatever. No. These guys are being sold for $1 a piece, $2 a piece. Like, these planeswalkers people want to play with, and now we have more proliferate toys, for God's sake, and all this stuff is blowing up. And so, like, it's really terrific that essentially it's totally cool to have 37 planeswalkers in a row, and someone's going to get that, and that's okay.
I definitely like how the story is being told through the previews. I think that that's a very clever idea, with Act 1 opening the bridge, Act 2 being the active invasion of the bridge opening over the chamber, Act 3 of the Immortal Sun appearing over New Prov. I thought that was just a brilliant maneuver.
Yeah, that's really sweet. All right, so are there any other cards you guys want to talk about before we move on here?
I'm good for now.
I'm good.
Fair enough. That said, let's keep on moving here to the MTG Creator Awards.
Oh my
goodness. I'm going to drop a link in the chat. You guys go check that out. It's not every day that you can say that you are on an award-winning program.
Yeah.
But somehow, some way, MagicMics was voted best podcast for the MTG Creator Awards. And so I can't help but say thank you to our fans who are amazing, who had to go through, had to go do the thing and fill out the stuff and say that, we are who they want.
Some tough competition, Brainstorm Brewery, limited resources, loading ready run. Like,
good luck, high five. Like, it was a non-zero amount of awesome people, and we didn't expect it, and you guys are great, and we love you, and it's terrific, and it made my day.
Yeah,
and this was...
sorry,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, this means a lot to me in particular because we're going on 4 years doing this show. And at the 4-year mark, I would have thought that we would start to plateau a little bit, or that maybe we would even experience a bit of a decline. Let's be completely honest. But the opposite has happened. Like, we just had our 3rd successful Kickstarter. We have our 3rd sponsor in Cardamajigs. We've had consistent growth in our Patreon and our Twitch. I think we had 10 new patrons over the last week or two.
Yeah.
That Discord was just popping. And to have all of this at this point where things are just we still have reasons to get excited. We still have successes to celebrate. 4 years in, it should be kind of stale by now, but everybody keeps us on our toes, and we appreciate it so much. And it's just like, wow, like, really?
My God, it has been 4 years, hasn't it? It's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
It's gonna be 4 years in June, I believe.
I think it was in
May. Facebook. No, we started having our initial meetings in April. Facebook.
Oh, really?
That.
Wow.
Yeah. We started in April, and then Evan spent a good month or two getting everything right, because that's how Evan is.
Yep.
And then we finally went live the week we recorded the week before the Vegas, and I remember the episode came out when I was on the plane, and by the time I had landed in Vegas, people were already coming up to me and saying, "Watch the show, love the show," and it was like,
amazing.
Well, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say that, I do appreciate all of the love and support from everybody, but this particular award was voted on by our peers, other folks who are in the content creation community, and to be chosen by other people who do put in the effort and the work is just an insane compliment, and we thank you so much for that. But also, we are part of a larger ecosystem. MagicMics doesn't exist without the other podcasts that do focus on Limited and do focus on the game and do focus on other specific things. And so please check those out for whatever interests you specifically. Go check out Tap Tap Concede and Limited Resources and Good Luck High Five and the smaller podcasts as well. I think that Gone Fishin' or Go Fish, I forget the name of which one it was, but there was a specific Merfolk podcast. If someone could pick up my slack here.
I don't know. I saw the logo and I heard it.
There was a Fishin' a Merfolk podcast. Thank you, MTG Strategy was here in the chat with us. Nice. And there are lots of specific smaller casts that deserve love as well. Podcasting is a unique animal in Magic the Gathering content creation. And it's one that we happen to focus on, and so thank you all so much.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to make the and it's not going to be as journalistic, but, the 2020, the 60 Minutes, the idea that, and it really turned into the McLaughlin group, I think is the way. McLaughlin group's the best way to put
Professor gave us that one, yeah.
it. Exactly. So, and I'll take it.
New war, the Spark spoilers are out. Evan, go!
It's incredible. The other awards that were given out, best website went to MTG Goldfish. Best video went to Black Lotus from Rhystic Studies, which was incredible. Best YouTube channel with small audience was They Said We Said. Best YouTube channel with medium audience was BadWolf MTG. And best YouTube channel large was Tolarian Community College. Best article went to Abbie Marie, that'd be Phyrexiamagic for Women in Magic the Gathering. Best streamer went to Loading Ready Run. Best new content creator went to Pappy Pauper. People's Choice went to Brainstorm Brewery. And Content Creator of the Year went to Sam at Rhystic Studies.
Oof, yeah.
I gotta say, the only one that really surprised me was us winning. I'm not super familiar with Bad Wolf personally.
I know her. I love her. Sweet baby, beautiful family. Red Mage. She named her daughter Chandra. I mean,
Perfect. I've heard nothing but good things, to be fair.
Right. Girl.
But of the ones, I thought for sure we were, 5th, 6th best podcast.
I mean, I brought it up, and fiance was watching, and I already knew, or whatever. And she was like, "Wait, did you win this?" And I was just like, "Yes, and it's awesome, and yes, we know, and I'm incredibly humbled." So, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Right.
Young Mage is also in chat, 3-time nominee of these awards, and had a great presentation with the rest of the Young Mage team as well.
Very nice.
I presented the Small Audience Award for.
You look good too.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I presented the award for Best Small Audience, and Orzhov Dunn from They Said We Said was the victor. I still have it up here on the wall here. If you ever want to come pick that up, buddy. So I still got it.
And they offered to give us the trophy in the sweetest way possible. So there is I believe a paper trophy, and they had asked Ruben if they wanted them to. They offered to break it up in pieces, like in Mean Girls when she breaks up the crown and gives it to everybody. And I was like, that's so sweet.
Yeah.
And then Ruben was like, no, just give it to Evan. So
just give it to Evan and put it on, because we'll be able to visit it. We'll have visitation.
Oh, it's glass. Oh my
trophy.
God.
Wow, it's a glass trophy.
Oh, wow.
We'll be able to put it on Evan's mantelpiece.
I'll buy a shelf and I'll stick it right there.
Perfect. Whenever we come down for set reviews, we'll be able to see it.
We'll put it right on the table, right there. No, it'll be great. Super
That's
exciting.
enough navel gazing.
There we go. Let's keep on moving with the news, y'all.
Showing our navels? I didn't.
MTG Arena is awesome. Card styles are going to be coming as part of season rewards. Season rewards basically are monthly rewards, but they don't call them that because they like to call them seasons. I don't know why. But Wizards Lightning is going to be the reward for players who reach gold rank or higher in limited or constructed, which is, for what it's worth, pretty easy most of the time. But not so easy is platinum rank or higher, where you get Vraska's Contempt, which will be super sweet as part of the season 2 rewards. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. This will be given out, I can imagine, this will be the end of April. You'll be getting these. So that'll be cool. So good luck to everybody who gets their sweet card styles. Have you guys, well, I'm not even going to ask Aaron. Ruben, have you played with the card styles at all?
I have. I am currently playing with a Dovin's Acuity deck that I saw in the Invitational. Played mostly, well, in my time, I was watching the Asian Avenger play this deck. And so I've been playing the ladder with that, and I have the card style Revitalize that you can use. I have the card style Opt that you can use, and it kind of does this, right? It's kind of a loop. It makes me dizzy if I stare at it for too long, but they look all right. I think that they're pretty cool. And yeah, I mean, I think that it's a great thing to be able to unlock. It's not a large price. You have like 500 gems. Right. To unlock specific card styles. The fact that Hinterland Harbor is like the only non-basic land that you can't bling out is pretty weird. But other than that, I mean, it's perfect.
I mean, it's one of the things that ultimately I think they're really cool. They needed a way to foil out cards, and I appreciate that this is the way you can do that. They also have a promotion running where if you buy $50, which is 50 packs, you'll also get a card back with the symbol for War of the Spark, the sleeve, quote unquote, and you'll also get the card style for the new Liliana. Now that doesn't give you the card, But if you get that card, you can then use that style if you want to. Also, just a UI note, I have no idea how to turn the styles off. Like, I've tried. It's like you turn it off, then you turn it back on again, but wait, it's on, and no, it's back on. Wait, it's on. I don't know how to do that. But the only thing that just bothers me a little bit is that the way they make them is they just mirror the art on each side, you know what I mean? So so when you can see it like going round and around, you'll start to see things like, oh, the rope goes down this way and then just starts going right back up the other way because it's just a mirrored image. This information campaign looks really bad in that regard because there's a face that just kind of duplicates on the side. You're like, oh, come on, a little bit of love. We need a little bit more love to these, I think, but they're getting really, really close.
So the codes that, by the way, just to quickly run down, if you want codes for some of them for free, there's Shiny Pirate Goblin, Sparkle Druid, Foil Fungus, Parallax Potion, Super Scry, and Starter Styles. All of those, I believe, will work forever. So no matter when you're listening to this podcast, feel free to go get those. Note
that each word needs to be capitalized and there's no spaces. So that's how that works. Valor's Reach is the new Hearthstoniest Magic you ever seen.
Oh boy.
I
haven't watched this video. How painful is it going to be for me to watch this video?
It's going to be a little rough. The way that it looks and feels. I'm going to try to bring up some of the footage here. Make sure.
Can I dredge in it?
No, absolutely not. Like, you can't dredge an arena. You definitely ain't dredging this thing.
Thanks to the Mana League for building this video for us to have a look.
Yeah, the Mana League, thank you very much for doing that. As we can see here, I'm just going to browse through it really quickly. Again, this to me gives a very Eternal vibe. This looks to me a lot like Eternal. This does have cards and names of cards and art from cards of various kinds from Magic. There's animations here, as you see. There is Gideon and whatnot, so he gets to have his own animation and stuff. You get mana each turn. It doesn't look like you get colors per se versus, like, you know, you get +1 mana. And I guess that color, the color of the deck is based on the color of the planeswalker or something. But you can see some of this. Again, I put the link in the chat. The link will be in the show notes. You guys can check this out. At the very least, they didn't copy the Hearthstone, you're attacking a creature. They did the same as Eternal, which is you're just attacking the player and they can block if they want to. So that's nice in terms of interaction. And getting more mana each turn is very Hearthstone-y in that regard. But, you know, this is one of those products where I still think there's a giant question mark as to whether this is going to succeed or fail at all.
Yeah. I don't know. You lost me in interaction, to be honest.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of this. I mean, it's another game, right? Like, it's not
basically
even,
a different.
It's not Magic the Gathering. It's using the Magic the Gathering IP to create another game.
To create something that is similar in many ways, but not in other ways.
I mean, I don't know what to think of it.
Well, let's cap off Gather the Townsfolk with a terrific story from our own Christine Sprankle. Christine Sprankle on Twitter says, after seeing the MTG War trailer, I feel inspired again and will be definitely coming back in a brand new, big, awesome cosplay. And everyone...
Important to note that this is dated April 2nd. She had originally tweeted something similar to this on April 1st as a Fool's Day joke, removed it saying it was too mean, and then decided that, in fact, she did want to break out a Nicol Bolas cosplay. For those of you who are new, listen to this sentence. For those of you who are new to Magic the Gathering and aren't familiar with Christine Sprankle,
wow,
can you think about that sentence for a second?
Yeah.
Christine Sprankle is the godmother of Magic the Gathering cosplay. The reason why we have it in such a big way and why it's so supported is because she was the trailblazer that did it first. Her Elspeth cosplay at Worlds in San Francisco is the reason why there are so many Magic cosplayers now.
Right.
It is possible that it could have happened later, but the way that reality happened, Christine was the trailblazer and is the flag bearer for it. Still on the pantheon of best cosplayers in the community, and left the community after the toxic garbage that happened last year, 2 years ago.
God.
It's a year and a half ago, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
And rightfully, and for her own mental well-being and sake, stepped away from the toxic community that Magic was and can still be. However, has decided to return in at least in a cosplay capacity, which we are forever grateful for and very lucky to get.
Yeah, I'm happy to hear that she's coming back, but I do want her to take care of herself, and I do want her to. I hope that she's taken the time away, and that she's found a way to kind of, find that balance, because, to be honest, I think she was never really comfortable with like the fame thing, where it was like, she would always go in the comment sections and she would always reply to the trolls, and it was like, girl, you can't do that. Like, you gotta know how to kind of play the game there. And so I hope that she has found a balance, and I'm anxious to see what she does, because, there was nobody who could, really shock people the way that she could. The scale, I think Sprinkle was really known for more of the scale of her cosplays, where, she was always looking to go bigger and in a lot of ways. And I also she was always just so supportive too. It will be very easy for somebody at her level to, be competitive or want to keep the others down. But her DMs were always open. She was always plugging other cosplayers. She was always bringing other cosplayers up with her. And so I'm so excited to see her back. I just want her to take good care of herself.
I do want to add that I've been working with Ashlyn Rose for a long time on my Dungeons and Dragons show, which is The Broken Pact. Ashlyn is a longtime Magic content creator and cosplayer as well. There are many, many, many spectacular artists in this community who create content in the cosplay community, and they are content creators. Vanessa Martin, Atlas Crafts, Nissa Cosplay, the list goes on and on and on. Not to mention, perhaps the most famous Magic cosplay being worn by Dana Fisher was created by the community. A number of people in the community, such as Moxie MTG, and some other folks, came together to sort of help build that costume up. And Tappy Toe Claws is another spectacular one. Thank you so much, chat. Who've carried this mantle. But you're right, the scale of Imara Tandris and Avacyn, Una, and the multiple different angels that have been created over time by Sprankle are second to none. And seeing as the source of the consternation that had her leave the community is no longer in the community.
Oh, Jesus.
Is a good sign. And so hopefully we are helpful in, how do I say this? Hopefully we are healthy enough to return to. And I think we are, but hopefully we are.
Let's go ahead and run straight head first into Desperate Ravings.
Yeah, because hopefully we are.
We are in the world of tea, ladies and gentlemen, and it is deep.
I'm sure some of you came to the show tonight for this.
I'm sure many did, and many were waiting. And a lot of times this happens, where Therese Nielsen had announced a new project to make tokens for Kickstarter. It's coming to Kickstarter, I believe, next month. And a lot of things from her past were later kicked up and brought up. A lot of very sometimes angry, sometimes pointed. Everyone had their own reasons for why they reacted the way they did. And it's up to you to figure out how you want to take and or process this per se. All I can say on my behalf is that I've had nothing but positive, wonderful interactions with Therese and her wife, and that doesn't take away other people's feelings or how they take things. I'm just saying that me personally, I don't think excommunicating, quote unquote, is necessarily where we want to be going as a community moving forward.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed by many people in this equation. Some of them that I consider to be friends. So what really kicked this off, and this had been kind of an open secret for a while, someone described this to Chick-fil-A in that we all know what Chick-fil-A is really up to, but we end up going back for the chicken. Like, this had been no secret that Therese tended to skew a little bit more towards the right in her beliefs. And some people had, I don't know if it was Twitter, because for a while there, and I think Twitter still does this, I think Twitter still shows you what people you follow like. I don't know if
Time
they're
to time.
still doing that, but
It
I think
depends.
that's what kind of might have
depends.
gotten this started. And so somebody ended up going through her likes and discovered that she had some interests that were very, very far right. And this had kind of come up a couple of times in the community, and then it would kind of simmer back down again. But what really pushed it over the edge was she was taking part in a Kickstarter with original MTG art, I believe. And that really pushed things over the threshold to the point where Therese felt like she needed to release a statement. Now, to be clear, the statement isn't good. Let's get that straight. Like
they needed an Aaron to be like, yo.
If you need someone to write a statement, girl, you got my DMs. Anybody who's listening, if you need a statement of any kind, call me, please. But the statement wasn't good. And
great.
that led a lot of people to feel a certain way. Now, it's one thing if you don't want to buy a print. If you read that statement and you were like, I'm not buying a print from you. I'm going to use different force of wills. I'm going to take a page from the Aaron Campbell playbook and I'm just going to block you. Like, that would be fine. But the intensity with which people felt the need to come at her was very confusing for me. She wasn't fighting anybody. You know, this wasn't a case where she was fighting back. She wasn't clapping back at people.
Right.
She wasn't hurling insults back at you. She posted the statement and then she probably logged off for a couple days. You know, there was no need to come at her with the intensity that people came at her with. Like, what do you stand to gain by adding one of the most beloved artists in Magic and telling her to go F herself? Like, how do you think that's going to go? Like, what is your plan here? And I just didn't understand why we were at 12, where it was like, if you want to be at 4 and you're disappointed, great. But like, what's the plan here? And I just didn't understand why they were going as hard as they were when she wasn't fighting you. She wasn't even liking passive aggressive tweets. You know, sometimes you'll like tweets that you won't reply to that are supporting you. Mm-hmm. She wasn't even doing that. She literally didn't fight these people. She posted it and she walked away. And I just saw the intensity and I didn't understand. And maybe it's a generational thing, maybe it's an age thing, but I was just really surprised at how hard people went for her. And I just don't understand what the goal is. And so,
right.
You know, I'm not really sure what the end game is. Obviously, we're seeing, you know, the optics weren't good. We've already seen some reaction videos on Twitter or YouTube where people are, people are going after Therese. That's what it looks bad. You know, when someone's not fighting you back, you know, you look crazy. And unfortunately, you made the case for a lot of really unpleasant people out there that are going to have a field day with this. And it was just unfortunate all around that I was just trying so hard to like not get any on me, but unfortunately with the nature of the show, we got to address it. And it was just like, oh.
I would just say it's easy to not support something or someone or projects and not make a gigantic sort of scene about it. That's all I'm saying. So that's the thing. And I'll also agree that statement didn't help. I honestly, nothing would have been better, I think, than the statement personally. But regardless, Mr. Rubin, do you have anything you'd like to add here before we move on?
Nope.
Okay, moving
Which of course
on.
means that he does, and he's playing it safe.
It's fine. Let's move on here. We've had enough uncomfortableness for the moment. Channel Fireball recently had a snafu, if as it were, in the.
Speaking of denial.
The GP Niagara Falls, this is the Legacy GP on Easter weekend that many are very, very concerned with, said they went from 50K to 35K and they didn't say nothing. And suddenly the tinfoil hats are out and Channel Fireball are the worst people ever. And they're trying to do this to us the whole time. And we're digging up old screenshots and we've got receipts and this is, and Channel Fireball is like, oh, we screwed up. We're sorry.
We're just awful.
We're not. We're going to give you the 50K. We never said we weren't. It was just a typo. We didn't mean it.
But can you blame them though? I mean, when you see how Niagara has been treated so far, and even when you see just some of the snafus that have been made with previous events, you know, we are coming off of a really big, frankly, expensive weekend with this Mythic Invitational. You know, they obviously put a lot of money into this. Legacy is not nearly as popular as Standard Arena. Right. You know, I don't think it was entirely unfounded to. I think in some world it made sense of, okay, you know, we know what our new cash cow is. There's already this event that we're trying to pretend isn't happening.
Right.
Let's just go ahead and cut the purse too. Like, I get it. I don't think it was that unreasonable.
Oh, I mean, there's certainly the other half of the story where yes, they meant to, and this was a change, and this is how they communicated it because the communication was bad. But that was 100% not the case, and I'm glad for that clearly. And CFB coming out clearly saying, look, we would never lower the prize payout. If we say it's going to be X, it's going to be X.
I wouldn't go that far.
Well, that's what they said. I'm not putting the words in their mouth. That's what they tweeted. But regardless, they said we will never, in all capitals, lower prize payouts.
Good.
I mean, yeah.
Good on them.
Sure. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, Niagara has had a rough go of it, period. And so this is just another snafu. I think that a lot of this is not CFB Events' fault. I think a lot of this is just the upheaval that's been happening in competitive Magic over the past 6 months. And so I can appreciate that you don't have the same numbers on every website. And to their credit, I think that they handled it, I mean, at least well enough, if not really well.
Yeah, I mean, they did the best they could in terms of what it was. Again, this event didn't need any more drama. It doesn't need any more bad press.
Yeah.
This
ultimately is a good thing. There was a Q3 Magic Fest update that showed up. I'm going to bring it up on the screen. This was all very positive stuff. There's the formats.
It was mostly positive stuff.
I mean, by and large, I would say it was positive. Q3 formats and prize pools on the screen now, if you care about that stuff.
Minneapolis is modern. I will be there. That's going to be amazing. Vegas is happening again, another modern Grand Prix. Atlanta. Legacy in Atlanta. You know, I've heard so many things about the Atlanta Legacy scene, how robust it is. And so
Nice.
I'm particularly excited by that. Not a lot of standard.
No, not a lot of standard at all.
That's the headline for me is there's Magic Fest Denver, and that is it.
A couple other highlights here. Video coverage is still going to be a thing. Online deck lists, digital deck lists are going to be mandatory for Grand Prix as of May 31st. Yeah. I know so many judges that were celebrating online, and they're actually going to have kiosks, I heard, where if you are one of the procrastinating types, you can do the kiosk thing at the event and do the thing. So what a world when there will be no more paper deck lists. Like,
yeah, wow, that's it took till 2019, folks, but we're here.
Hey, you know,
we did it.
There's still a Blockbuster Video out there. Like, we can't all evolve at the same speed.
The other thing I was particularly impressed with was I've been very vocal about the lack of play space, you know, as somebody who doesn't necessarily play the formats that these, you know, events, the main events are. You know, I don't play a lot of standard. It's very difficult to find just casual play space. And they said that they heard that feedback. They're going to try their best to designate certain areas for casual play, that players will only be asked to vacate unless they absolutely need the tables for the event. That is a huge change. They're also going to be doing more for the commander folks, better prizes. You can build your own pod as opposed to playing that awkward game of like, there's two of us, we got to wait for two spaces. No, go grab 4 friends and form the pod. It's fine. So overall, I think these are really positive changes, but it's my understanding that, of course, some folks in different areas are having a bit of a different opinion on this.
Yeah, I want to quickly piggyback off of that note before we move on to the one downside, which is I know that Phil DeLuca and Shivam Bhatt from the Commanderin podcast were putting together a big event here for Magic Fest Los Angeles. And part of the impetus for putting together their own event outside of the site, which, by the way, was a spectacularly run event, and I had a great time at it the Friday night before the GP, was because of the lack of casual play space, the lack of places that you could just have Commander. And now that they have increased the Commander experiences, as they say, increased the amount of casual play space, that is a huge step forward. And I got to say, my favorite part of Magic Fest Los Angeles was that the Commander scene essentially took over the food court. Like there was a restaurant that had a lot of tables and half of it was like half closed. And I walk into the LA Convention Center that's attached to the Staples. I'm not even in the event hall yet, and I see 200 people sitting at tabletops in like the food court restaurant area. And the restaurant's just like, yeah, whatever. You guys keep ordering French fries every hour and we'll be cool. It was amazing. It was one of the coolest parts of the event for me.
That's sweet.
So I'm excited that that they have heard that feedback and are responding to it in this positive way.
They had 3 particular things they wanted to point out here. One was, setting your own prizes which is you're adjusting the commander price structure to 50 tickets per player. They also made the tickets a little bit more granular. That's a different update. I won't go into it. But the point is, they'll give you that many per player, and then you can just figure out like who gets what. Does everybody just get their 50 and go home or whatever? You build your own pod. That's in terms of like, I have 4 people I want to play with. We don't have to like, well, 2's going to join the pod that's waiting, and then the other 2 have to just like sit out and they're just screwed or whatever. And then the casual play space. Players will not be asked to vacate unless they absolutely positively need the space, because, you know, at the end of the day, those paid events are going to push you out. But,
well, of course,
this is still important, and I appreciate it.
The issue and the reason why people are upset is because, like I said before, you built your rebrand, your whole rebrand, the verbiage of your rebrand that Blake used and that CFB used in their announcement was that they wanted to remove the barrier of entry to GPs, to Magic Fest, and they wanted it to be a place where everybody could come. And they even listed like, you know, we don't care if you're a spell slinger, if you're a commander, if you're a pauper or whatever, and then you don't have any casual space. So it wouldn't be so bad if you hadn't built the whole thing on you can just come here and play, when clearly that's not always the case. So I'm glad to see that they're going to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they updated their Fnatic packages in terms of what you get for $100. You get event vouchers and stuff, and you get playmats. The Lightning Bolt playmat and whatnot is really cool. And of course, that promo, the Lightning Bolt playmat, is a bit. Yeah. It's worth money. Yeah. And that freaking promo alone is like $30-$40.
Like, turn it into dollars and put it in your Bazaar fund.
I don't gotta pay for bazaars. I'm Aaron Campbell.
No. Wow. Your Bazaar. You like weird cards.
I do.
And she's humble too. One of the things there is worth pointing out is there's no standard in Europe. Not any standard events.
Almost a full year. There won't be a standard GP in Europe. There's an 11-month gap at the very least right now, which is bizarre considering how good standard is right now.
Well,
how fun it is, how excited people are about the format.
Here's the thing. And this is something that, because we've been through this 3 times, now we can prepare for it. For the CFB events of the world, for the SCG Opens of the world.
Yep.
If we're in Ravnica, run some damn standard events, because it's going to be great. Like, there has yet to be a Ravnica standard that's been just awful, that's been ruined, that's been totally screwed up. Like, I guess the closest would be the mono black, right, with the pack rat. Right. That's closest about as far as it got, but like, okay.
Do you think it's that they want people to just play standard on Arena?
Maybe.
Is that too tinfoil hat?
You don't. I think that's. I mean, it's not tinfoil hat. But I think that's a stupid reason if that's the reason.
All right.
Well, gotta hand it to the Magic Online people. The 2018 Magic Online Championship is actually going to happen in the middle of May.
We did it, fam.
For 2018.
We did it, fam. Magic the Gathering's premier online play source.
Bless their hearts.
Yeah, it's happening. So we appreciate them announcing that. It's going to be happening on May 18th. We got there, fam. Something for 2018.
I gotta say, I do like watching that event. I actually do enjoy watching that event, and I'm glad that it is actually happening.
Right.
I am interested to see if what was proposed, which is, can we just split all of the prize between the 24 of us or the 18 of us or however many it was, if that actually would come to fruition, because I'm not sure how much they want to promote it. And if they don't want to promote it, then why run it?
Like, one of the things they didn't actually mention, is it getting coverage?
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like, why?
That's a lot of money to get
like
no
when the
coverage.
Sunday Super Series Championship event happened in Seattle, and it didn't get covered, and so AJ Soccer and I had to fly up on a Friday night to make sure that we could see all of our friends like Sam Black and Luis Salvato before Salvato became player of the year.
Oh my God!
In the year of our Lord 2018. It's just awkward when you have these magical events, these big competitive events, and they don't get that spicy coverage.
Wow. Okay. Well, that was incredible. All I know is they don't mention coverage, and for an event that big with that much money, I believe it gives away 6 figures, right? So like, it's a non-zero amount of money.
I'm sorry, how many figures?
Tell us, Ruben.
That would be 6 figures.
El Sixamundo. Very, very cool. All right, so that's that. We finally heard, as we go to our last story here in Splash Damage, we finally actually heard from Valve about Artifact. They're going to re-examine the game's design and economy. I think that's just called the game. I think they're just going to
That's going to be a
game.
new breakup line. Like, I need to re-examine our design.
Yeah, and economy.
It has become clear that there are deep-rooted issues. I think it's all the way down to the game design.
Let me ask you a question. What is the path back for Artifact?
The path
What's
back.
The way back?
It's easy. No, it's not. But it has a path. And the path is, first of all, it's got to be free to play. There has to be a way to get packs and cards for nothing. There just needs to be. You got to learn and recognize that you can't flip that switch back to the 90s. You just got to do it. Secondly, obviously, you got to bring players in somehow. You're probably going to have to bribe them. You're going to have to give them free Steam bucks or something for playing the game just to get everyone back into the swing of things. 3, you're going to have some sort of way to remove a lot of complication from the game, as well as there's a little too much RNG I felt when I played it, because there's a lot of like random, this character's going this way and character's going that way in terms of the lanes, and it was odd. And lastly, there cannot be mono control mirrors after control mirror after control mirror. And someone mentioned like, hey, there was an aggro deck in the game. And I'm like, well, I never found it. I never saw anyone play it. I never figured out if I could draft it. And a lot of it was so complicated, I couldn't really put it all together in the time. And so like you literally were playing 3 games of what you used to call Soulforge. And in between those 3 games, you would stop and go to like a marketplace and buy a bunch of other cards that you could use and then go back to playing those 3 games. Like that's just, it's too much.
It's like a nightmare to watch and cover.
Right. To keep up with what exactly is happening and why things are happening, it was tough.
Sure.
And so when you imagine that they wanted it to be like Dota with 3 lanes, when you imagine like they want to include all those Dota characters to do their little like their shtick or whatever, and you want to have like the little goblin minion, guys that come out every round, and that's neat and all, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a better game because it's got these highlights from this completely other IP, essentially.
I really wanted to briefly mention that I know that we have been sort of skirting around the issue of Hearthstone getting less popular in a couple of episodes because it hasn't really been news. We've sort of touched on it tangentially in relation to other topics, but we did talk about how the newest set was being spoiled and or previewed, and the newest set was getting some hype. And so I think that the reporting of Hearthstone's death has been greatly exaggerated, and it seems to be more popular than it has recently.
Yeah, there's a new set coming out for that, and it seems really interesting. When you kind of hear as a Magic player that they made these cards that said if all of your cards were odd, make them all better, and if another one says if all your cards are even, and you go, that's not necessarily broken, but the games are all going to play the same, right?
Yeah.
And that's basically what happened. Yep. So like, that's weird that then they have to kind of suffer through that. That said, I do want to touch on, I didn't have it properly in the show notes. I thought I did, which is why I bounced over it. But the other tea for this week was that Owen Turtenwald showed up into an article on Kotaku about, possibly essentially the rumors of harassing women and talking to women who had claimed as much. And these are just allegations. But essentially that being the reason as to why he wasn't at the Mythic Invitational. He has said nothing. Wizards has said nothing. And no one has any idea what's really going on.
And when there is something to talk about, I'm sure we will talk about it on the show. Right. But a Kotaku article that, Kotaku is known for their clickbait. As long as there's nothing to talk about yet. And so we will not be talking about it until there is.
Right. That's literally all the article says. I don't know anymore. We'll figure it out later. And I would just like to get some sort of closure there. Like if this is Owen out of the MPL, let us know. If he's going to be in the MPL and there's some sort of ramifications. Rest
assured that we're going to talk about it when there's something to talk about.
Right.
It's not something we're shying away from. It's just, we have a point of information and, a lot of hearsay and gray area and discussion about what it could mean, but we don't have anything solid yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the privileges that we have as creators with a large platform is not only can we choose to talk about things, but we can also choose not to talk about things. And that's a privilege I think too many content creators don't exercise enough. This is a very huge, deep, important issue that we want to make sure that we are, you know, giving it the appropriate amount of gravity and respect, and we don't know enough. And so it's not something you can just sort of,
Right.
you know, we can speculate and do funny accents about. Like, we want to give it its due.
Right. So right now we're still more or less in the dark, and if we come out of the dark, we'll let you know exactly what we find out from there. That said, let's move and turn the corner here to the finisher. Let's give a $50 gift certificate to a lucky winner. Let's get it. 3, 2, 1. Boom! Congratulations, Elementor 5x5.
Oh, congratulations.
I've seen them in chat a number of
Yeah,
times.
I've seen them too. I think they're in our Discord as well.
Oh, sweet. Well, congratulations. Thank you very much.
So we don't have to worry about me having them blocked on Twitter when they go to collect their prize.
It happens, folks. It's like a newborn baby. It's every day. You're like, oh, Aaron blocked me again. It's a Tuesday.
Damn.
All right. So congratulations to them. Please contact Aaron here on this platform or on Twitter somewhere, or our Discord would be great too. Get you that gift certificate. Thank you so much to Cool Stuff for sponsoring that. That said, we do our thanks to all of our subscribers and our bit givers. The_business resub for 5 months. Thank you so much. Niasen subscribed via Prime. Hey, welcome to the channel. Thank you so much. Sugar Bear resub for 2 months, coming back again, so it must have been pretty good. Thanks a lot. Phantom of the Opera, AWPERA, has subscribed. Thanks much. Undead Thor TV has resub for 3 months. Thank you very much. Big Low 7 resub for 2 months in a row. Thank you much. 00 Busy Hands has resubbed for 8 months in a row. Made it on time. Heart they put there. Welcome and congrats for making the live show. Tesla Prime resub for 8 months. Thank you so very much. Ruben, if you want to tell us about our bit givers this week.
Absolutely. We have quite a few bit givers.
Wow.
I had a lot of fun doing the old prospector voice on the Broken Pact earlier in the week, so we're going to go with 11 bits from Mr. Lou Boo Foo, 50 bits from T.S. Sally Yock, 50 bits from Sexy Soy, 69 bits from House of Shadow.
Woo!
Nice job, young man. 100 bits from Martin Casa, 450 bits from Smil Cows, 469 bits from Thunder Voice 1. That's 4 nice.
You're going to make Evan miss home if you keep this up.
5, well, that dog will hunt. 500.
Papa's at you.
MTG strategist. You interrupt me one more time, I'm going to fix your wagon, cook your goose. 2,500 bits from Draco Lucian. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Good gosh. Draco Lucian notes for all of the wonderful work in the community you have built for us. That is terrific.
Wow.
Yes, thank you guys. You guys are awesome, and we love you all. We're going to turn the corner officially to the finisher. War of the Spark preview season is well underway, and while the cards themselves are certainly exciting, and we're looking forward to discussing them all in our upcoming complete set review. Thank you very much for funding that. Nothing has been getting more attention than the War of the Spark official trailer featuring Liliana, Nicol Bolas, and a dope In the End cover, which now has nearly 6.5 million views on YouTube. So in light of War for the Lincoln Park blowing up like Ariana Grande, what's the next big break in Magic the Gathering YouTube, Ruben?
All right. I'm new to this, so.
Official Magic the Gathering ASMR content presented with the sultry tones of Kevin Cron.
Oh my God.
The velvet pipes of Tim Willoughby. And of course, the unmistakable, undeniable, inescapable sexiness
of Mark Rosewater!
Oh man, that is not a voice you want nibbling on your ear. Just
wow. Aaron?
So the once clear line between traditional celebrities and new media stars has been blurred beyond recognition. Shane Dawson's docuseries on popular YouTubers gained over 300 million views last year. Simultaneously, celebrities like Will Smith have started using digital video to deepen their connection with fans, essentially becoming creators themselves. So I'm excited for the next big Magic video, Nicol Bolas's makeup tutorial, because there's always a greater wower.
That's right. Hey.
I know the Britney choreo. Don't make me. Just, I'll do it.
It's been hard out here for the official Magic the Gathering YouTube channel. Hell, they weren't even nominated for the Best Magic YouTube Channel Award. But a big break for Magic the Gathering's YouTube channel is in sight, because at this point, it's only a matter of time before the official Magic YouTube channel regains the title of most popular Magic channel back from the professor at Tolarian Community College, and I can't wait to see the shade in that response video.
That is going to be great if it happens. I would be all about it.
Little shade, little tea, little salt, some of that.
I mean, Prof has it coming, right?
Yep, there you go. Well, that's
if they regain the championship belt, you know, many Magic the Gathering players ask the question, who's the best? All right? Flex.
Nice. Well, that ends another live episode of Magic Mics. Thank you for joining us to discuss all things Magic. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you so much for having me. I got so much good feedback on my Midwestern accent. I just had to close out the show with it, don't you know?
Jeepers.
Thank
you, Ruben.
Thank you. And once again, thank you, everybody, for choosing us for the award, the Creator Award for the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us in our Discord and for being a part of this lovely Magic the Gathering community. And please join us in 2 weeks. Well, next week for our show, but in 2 weeks for our official preview card.
Ooh, it's going to be a good one. That said, we're going to move here to our final slide. I want to thank our sponsor, CoolStuffInc.com, our co-sponsors, CardHoarder.com and Cardomagics.com, my co-hosts, Aaron Campbell and Ruben Bressler. You guys for watching or listening, and hope you support us at Patreon.com/MagicMics. Please follow, like, tweet, favorite, share, subscribe to everything social that tells people we exist. Catch us online on our Discord, Twitch.tv at MagicMics, on Twitter at MagicMicsCast, our Magic Mics subreddit, and like the Magic Mics page on Facebook. Talk to us privately at MagicMicsPodcast@gmail.com. Follow the audio-only podcast at MagicMicsPodcast.libsyn.com, or find us on iTunes, or join us here next week. Same time. Same cough, same place, for another episode of Magic Mics. Good night, everybody.
I did Gopher, ASMR, Mark Rosewater, and Prospector voice in 5 minutes. And you're going to give me crap about my voice?
It's my job, Ruben. It's my job.